Welcome to the Kamayati Kai Yoga Space. I am Kai, and today I want to share with you a little bit about what is yoga from my perspective, and also from the perspective of yoga philosophy and some of the structures that are present within yoga. So first of all, yoga is a practice. It's not an exercise. It's not a religion. It is a practice. Now, what does that mean? A practice is something, if you look in the dictionary, a practice is something that you come back to over and over and over again to develop the skill of X. So with yoga, it is a practice that we return to day in, day out. It can be a physical practice, it can be a meditation practice, it can be a breathwork practice. It can even be a philosophical practice, like a lifestyle practice, a perception practice, that we return to time and time again so that we can develop what it is that we are working towards. So let me give an example. So when I started with yoga, I really struggled to focus because I have ADHD. So I was coming back to my yoga practice every single day. And in the beginning, I was finding myself thinking about other things, getting distracted, all of that kind of stuff. And slowly but surely, as I practiced yoga, it helped me to develop my focus. And that's just one example of how yoga can help. It creates a container. It creates a container to allow us to understand ourselves better. And for a neurospicy person or a neurodivergent person or a person that has dealt with a lot of trauma, learning to understand yourself fully is a really important thing because of whatever you've experienced or however your neurobiology is different from the normal person, you need to understand yourself. And when you are able to understand yourself, you are able to start operating better as an individual. So it facilitates a space, it creates a container that you can get into and you are able to explore yourself, understand yourself, and start to work on the things that you might want to work on. And then once you are able to understand yourself and manage yourself, and become in harmony with yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit. And it just creates this place of exploration and safety so that you can slowly bring yourself back home and connect to what is authentically you. It does have a physical aspect and it does bring physical strength, but that is a plus. That is not the original purpose of yoga. But when you have strength and health within your physical body, it helps you to develop strength and health within all your other bodies. Now, what do I mean when I say bodies? So in yoga, we have 5 bodies. We call them the koshas. That's the Sanskrit word. The English word is layers or sheaths. And those bodies is our physical body, this one that is present here. It's our emotional body. It's our mental body. It is our individual spiritual body, like the spirit that resides within us. And it is our interconnected body. So in yoga, we believe that there is a mycelial interconnected consciousness that every living being that has ever existed is connected to. This is where animals get their instinct. This is also where, I don't know if you've ever had one of those moments where this bomb of wisdom just drops into your mind and you know it didn't come from you because you didn't know it before, but it just landed. And all of a sudden you had this wisdom. That comes from the interconnected consciousness. So we have those 5 bodies, right? And I'm not going to go too deep into that right now, but I will make a separate video on that. What's really great though about yoga working across all 5 bodies is, let's say you are not capable in your physical body, you might be paraplegic or something like this, quadriplegic. You are still able to practice yoga in your emotional space, your mental space, your spiritual space, your interconnected consciousness space, right? And let's say you are not emotionally connected, like you've gone through something really traumatic and you disassociate a lot. So you can then practice yoga in your physical body, like asana, and you can practice yoga with your mental body, like meditation. Pranayama is, I guess, mental and physical. And slowly but surely, you will find connection then to your emotional body. Or we can say, let's say that you are disconnected from your mental body. Like maybe you have, you went through something and you have blocked out a lot. Practicing yoga through your physical body, your emotional body, getting connected with meditation can reforge the connection to your mental body as well. So yoga is extremely versatile. It is not just asana postures. There's a whole new world. There's a whole other world to it. And you can start where you are at and you can build up, because yoga is a lifelong practice. Like I have been practicing yoga for about 13 years now. And the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And even though I have learned so much and I've learned to understand myself so much and I've developed such a strong and beautiful relationship with myself, there is still so much more room for growth. So it's this ocean. It's this huge ocean of exploration and practice that you can delve into in so many different spaces. Talking about the limbs of yoga. So, yoga has 8 limbs. 8. The first limb is the yamas. The yamas is the management, the relationships, but it is talking about your internal relationships with yourself, how to connect with yourself. I will also do a separate video on the 8 limbs of yoga. I'm not going to dive too deep into it now. So yes, the first branch, the yamas, is self-treatment. Then the second limb is your niyamas, your connection with the outside world. You know, it's almost like commandments on how to interact with the outside world, connecting with kindness, compassion, respect, boundaries, things like this. The third practice is asana, postures, the most famous part of yoga, what most of the world knows and connects with yoga. So these are the physical postures, your downward facing dog, your mountain pose. And in our asanas, it's also, once again, a whole ocean. All right. There are asanas for most levels of activity and ability in the body. And it's a great path to connect through the body to the rest of your bodies. All right, and then we have pranayama. So pranayama is the breathwork side of yoga. And pranayama is quite an interesting word because it's prana, which means life force, and it's yama, which is like the first limb that I just mentioned, the relationships and management of. So the relationship and management of your life force. Okay, and we don't consider your breath to be your life force. We consider your life force rides along your breath. So think about it. The first thing you do when you are born is breathe. The last thing you do before you die is breathe. So it is this consistent companion that is with you from day one. And everything that is alive on earth breathes, from the soil to the birds, to the bugs, to the plants, to us. We all breathe. We all have this connection to life force. Okay? And we use these breathwork practices to help us to regulate the usage of our life force. You find yourself incredibly tired, you can do a bit of a breathwork practice, regulate your life force, lift it up a little bit, and you have energy. You are feeling anxious. There are certain pranayama practices that you can do to once again regulate your life force down to calm you. You can feel super cloudy. Regulate through a breathwork practice and you have clarity. It's a really powerful part of yoga. It's an extremely powerful limb of yoga. And then we have pratyahara. So pratyahara is the withdrawing of the senses. Withdrawing of the senses, allowing, bringing your awareness and your focus from wherever it may be back here. How often are we in the present moment, but we are depressed over the past, or we are anxious over the future? So pratyahara is all about bringing your awareness from wherever it might be lost or focused elsewhere and bringing it here. Okay? And then we have dharana. And dharana is a one-pointed focus. And how great would that be, especially for us neurospices that can have a million tabs open at once. The practice of closing all those tabs and having a one-pointed focus. Okay. We also have dhyana, which is silent absorption. So if you are able to be 100% present here, now, you are able to witness your environment with regulated mental clarity. Because sometimes we can be already super angry from this morning, and then we have an experience, and then our mood from this morning impacts how we respond here. So when we are able to be clear, focused, present, and aware, we are able to absorb our environment and process it correctly and accordingly, not from a dysregulated space, but from a regulated space. And then we have samadhi, which is bliss, enlightenment. That's a whole other video on its own. But samadhi is this place where we are able to fully experience oneness. Oneness with all the parts of ourselves. Oneness with everything around us. I'm going to stop there because it's a rabbit hole. Okay, so those are the 8 limbs and the 5 bodies. And then the last thing I want to use to describe what is yoga is a little bit from this philosophy side. So there is a book called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is a culmination of other yogic philosophy. So there's much older yogic philosophy called the Vedas, the Vedanta. It's very ancient yogic philosophy, very philosophical yogic philosophy. But Patanjali was a yogi that tried to condense it and refine it into a 4-book a 4-series structure, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And Sutra 1.1 is Hatha Yoga-Anushasanam. Now, Hatha Yoga-Anushasanam in English translates to right now is the exposition of yoga. Okay, very cryptic, very profound, I guess. But basically what that means is if you can be 100% present in this moment, absorb everything in your environment in the correct way or in the way it is meant to be perceived, and you can process and respond in the correct manner that is necessary for the environment, being completely present, completely connected. This is yoga right now. It leaves you asking a million questions. And so the rest of the book of the Yoga Sutras, it breaks down the first 2 sutras. And that leads me to the second sutra. So the second sutra is Yogas Chitti Vritti Nirodha. Yogas Chitti Vritti Nirodha. And that translates to yoga is the seizing of the fluctuations of the mind. So how often are you present in a situation and your mind either downplays it or blows it out of proportion and traps you? You're going for an audition and you have a downright panic attack. You are studying and your mind is like, oh, this is pointless. Doesn't matter, I'm going to fail anyway. So your mind is not who you are, right? So if we have to look at the body as if it were a car, your physical body is the body of the car. Your mind is the engine of the car. Your spirit is the driver of the car. The Western world loves to believe that your mind is who you are. Your mind is not who you are. The self, or the spirit, created a mind to think and process things because the spirit does not have a mind, okay? But the mind has gotten so good at thinking and all of these kinds of things, and we live in the mind so much that we believe that we are the mind. We are not. The mind is a tool for us. Now, what happens if your car all of a sudden just starts doing its own thing? You're trying to drive forward and it slams you into reverse. Or you're trying to go left and all of a sudden your car just decides to go right. You're going to have problems. You're going to have big problems. So Yogas Chitti Vritti Nirodha is saying that yoga is a practice that helps you as the spirit to gain management of the mind, because the mind's trying to control everything. The mind's not supposed to control everything. Let's think about it. If we could manage the way that our mind handles everything, wouldn't that solve like 80% of our problems? That is what yoga is in a nutshell. Key takeaways here. It is a practice, something that you have to come back to time and time and time again. It is not something that you can do once and never again. It is a practice. We have to forge the pathways in our mind. We have to connect the mind with the body, with the spirit. And that happens over time. It is not a quick fix. It is a lifelong practice, but it is a lifelong practice that works. It is a practice that allows us to connect to all parts of ourselves and bring harmony to all parts of ourselves. And once we can connect to bringing harmony to all parts of ourselves, it starts to bleed into our lives, and we are able to bring harmony into our relationships, into our dreams, into our environment, all right? It also strengthens you across all 5 bodies. So yes, you will get physically strong. Not the main goal, super great perk though. And it is an ocean-sized container of exploration that you can dive into to not only explore yourself, but explore your whole existence and the world around you. So if you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Please like, please subscribe, please comment. I'm really trying to build a community here. I'd love to hear from you. And I shall see you soon.